Cypress Financial Group presents the Retirement Roundtable podcast with John Scallan. Get more at cypressfinancial.net. Now, let's get to the show.
Let's talk about the families you serve in the surrounding community and adults and some of their biggest fears to and through retirement and how you handle those fears. You up for that?
Absolutely, positively. We talk about that here at the office a lot. It's the intangibles, right? It's not always just about X's and O's.
Yeah.
A lot of it is about numbers, but again, certainly not the entire story when you're planning for retirement.
Here's a stat, John, that may blow your mind. Nearly 2/3 of Americans say that they're more afraid of running out of money than they are of dying. They're more afraid of running out of money than they are of death. John, how do you feel poverty more than death?
Mark, it shows people would rather face the grim reaper than become a financial burden on their families. And I mean, I truly get that. But here's what's really alarming. We're seeing a retirement apocalypse, if I can use that word. I can't spell it, but it sounds great. 80% of older households are either broke now or headed there fast. I'm talking about 47 million families.
John, there's people listening right now that feel that they're on that same path.
I recently met with a couple out in Slidell, living very, very frugally. I'm talking beans and rice, really watching the thermostat.
Yep.
So I told them, listen, you can spend this much money. I gave them a monthly number. I said, you can spend this for life. You never have to worry about it. The missus, shed a tear or two. But again, get the facts. Get the facts about what's going on with your retirement, your assets, your income.
So it's almost like we build this up too much in our mind, running out of money. It truly is a fear. And the fear ends up being worse than the reality.
Sometimes fear is literally killing people, pushing them to an earlier death than normally, they would have had. Again, it all boils down to stress. I mean, think about this. Studies show financial stress causes the same damage as life-threatening illnesses. People are, unknowingly choosing misery over mathematical reality. Here's a takeaway. Add up all of your guaranteed monthly income right now, Social Security, pension, annuities. If those numbers cover your basic living expenses, you're probably in much better shape than you think. Don't let fear, don't let this stress steal away your golden years. Get a plan, get the facts, and work with an advisor that can help you put those fears to bed and live out your retirement dreams.
The big question you can be asking yourself this weekend is really, where am I? Do I need to be eating Franken beans every weekend or every day because I'm worried that I'm going to run out of money in retirement? Have I built this up so much in my brain I'm stressing myself out, I'm making myself sick? Ask John Scallan the question. Hand him your portfolio and say, where am I? You could be doing much better than you actually realize, but you may not know unless you ask the question. Make the phone call this weekend, 504-732-1001. Again, 504-732-1001. 1001. You can also text the letters GPS because John wants to help you with your financial GPS, which is your goals, your passions, and your struggles. You can text GPS to that same number, and a team member from Cypress Financial will reach back out to you. So talk about some of the fears that adults have to and through retirement. And a lot of this is we spend too much time watching the news. Breaking news is sending retirees into a panic. Social Security applications are up 17% this year because people think DOGE cuts means their benefits could disappear. John, when it comes to Social Security, we're worried about that. Should we be rushing to file for our benefits early?
Mark, again, to me, this is the worst financial advice, right? Panicking. Yes, DOGE cut 7,000 Social Security workers. Yes, offices are closing, but benefits aren't getting cut.
So what's happening then?
A lot of political theater. It's costing people hundreds of thousands of dollars taking Social Security at 62 instead of waiting cuts your benefits by up to 30% permanently. Again, I want to emphasize, sometimes there are legit reasons to pull Social Security early, but get some advice. Call Cypress Financial, talk to your current advisor, get the facts, and talk through these decisions. This $500 to $600 to $800 per month, less every month for life, can really add up quickly.
That's painful, John Scallan.
Yeah, I'm seeing retirees file early, lose $250,000 in lifetime benefits over 25 to 30 years because they watch too much news. Sometimes we really need to sit down. Sometimes we just go through the numbers again. I can't tell you how many times we've had conversations with people and tweak the plan a little bit. Sometimes it's as simple as, maybe I need to work another 1 or 2 years to pay off that mortgage. Maybe I need to make some adjustments so that I can fulfill these commitments I made to my kids and grandkids. But it's worth a conversation, and it's worth it to develop a plan that will walk you through your entire retirement years.
So, John, you've mentioned before that one opportunity or maybe some advice that you suggest is that we go to ssa.gov. What do we do from there, and how can that benefit us?
Yeah, Mark, if for any of our listeners who have not done that, do it right now. Or if you're driving, not right now, but as soon as you possibly can. Seeing your projected benefits at different claiming ages is worth its weight in gold. Don't let political noise cost you potentially hundreds of thousands of dollars. When you call us, 504-732-1001. We will do this work for you. We will get you this Social Security report at no obligation. It will be worth its weight in gold.
Again, that number is 504-732-1001. We have a representative standing by right now, and our representative will be there throughout the weekend to answer your call, to get you on the calendar, to sit down with John Scallan and the team at Cypress Financial. We know that there are a lot of concerns about Social Security and what's next. So speaking of what's next, something that a lot of people lose sleep over, taxes, John. Taxes. John, this is a number that should outrage every adult to and through retiree. In 1983, only 10% of people paid taxes on their Social Security benefits. Today, it's 40%. John, how did we go from 1 in 10 to nearly half?
Mark, it is, one of the biggest challenges in retirement planning. The income thresholds haven't changed since 1993. Congress lets inflation push more people into the tax trap every year while pretending they're not raising taxes.
How does all that work?
Well, if you make over $32,000 per year as a married couple, now keep in mind $32,000 a year is not more than poverty level, up to 85% of your Social Security gets taxed. Man, that's rough. It truly is.
Yeah, but people listening right now realize they could be in that exact same trap and not even realize it.
Your defense strategy to this, to Social Security issues and taxation, build three buckets of assets now. Bucket number one, you've got a taxable account. Number two, you've got tax deferred like 401ks and tax-free Roth IRAs in that third bucket. This gives you control over your retirement tax bill. Start Roth conversions as soon as you can while rates are low. I promise you will thank me and whoever else assisted you in transitioning some of these funds at a later date.
As we're talking about taxes and retirement, John Scallan, how often do you find that you build a portfolio or you meet with a couple, they've done a good job, they've got a good savings, they've got a good 401k, they're lucky to have a pension, and they're not worried about taxes, John, because they assume when they retire, Uncle Sam's probably going to retire with them.
Boy, Uncle Sam never sleeps, never takes a day off. The tax bill is always coming. Again, tax strategies in retirement, a huge part of the right plan. Make sure that you are talking about the timing of withdrawals. When should I pull money out of my Roth accounts? When should I pull Social Security? Is it 62, 67, or even age 70? And when should I start pulling money out of my tax qualified accounts, my 401ks, my IRAs? Do I wait until required minimum distribution, which is age 73, or do I pull early? Again, part of a plan. It's like a symphony. That's why you need the right plan. You need the right relationship with your advisor. This can mean, again, unbelievable savings on your taxes and making sure your income stream gets in your household the most efficient way possible.
And John Scallan has partnerships with CPAs to help you with your tax strategy. And we invite you to reach out to the team at Cypress Financial today, 504-732-1001. And if you don't have time to talk right now, we invite you, just text the letters GPS. Goals, passions, struggles. That's what John Scallan wants to address with you. So you can text the letters GPS to 504-732-1001. 1001. A team member from Cypress Financial will reach out to you to get you on the calendar to sit down with John and the team. All right, so we're talking about some of the fears as we get to and through retirement. And this one is a big one because it is also a reality check. And we're talking about healthcare. The average couple retiring today faces $330,000 in medical costs over their lifetime. In nursing homes, about $111,000 a year nationally. So, John, how does anyone even afford this in retirement?
Mark, the reality is most people can't. But here's the Louisiana advantage nobody talks about. We have some of the cheapest, most inexpensive long-term care in America. Louisiana, $83,000 per year for nursing home versus $111,000 nationally. That $330,000 figure, more like $250,000 here. And Mark, here's another point. AARP does a study every single year, and basically the survey is, what are the top 10 expenses in healthcare? And Mark, you probably know this answer. Number one across the board, healthcare. A right plan, the right annuity contracts, the right long-term care policies, they will help you mitigate this. They will help you plan for what is an absolute necessity for most families moving into retirement.
John, that's a great point because every dollar helps.
You know, Mark, we're ranked in the top 5 most affordable states for long-term care, but even with our advantages, you have to plan for it. 2 moves that I would suggest you make this week. First, if you're working and have access to a HSA, a health savings account, if it's possible, max it out. Triple tax advantages, and it rolls over forever. Second, research long-term care insurance in your parish right now. There may be premiums that are hundreds of dollars versus paying $7,000 to $9,000 out of pocket here in Louisiana. And lastly, if you have annuity contracts, make sure they have activities of daily living riders, make sure they have nursing home riders. If you have annuity contracts that are over 3, 4, 5 years old that you've been holding on to, at the very least, get these reviewed. We will be happy to do this here at Cypress. You know, we had a client walk in with an annuity contract from 2008. The husband looked at me and said, "John, why would I replace it?" I said, "Let me put it to you this way. In 2008, a car didn't have a backup camera. It didn't have radar that tells you when you're changing lanes. It didn't have the most advanced lighting and braking system. It didn't have semiconductor chips. contract was 17 years old. We talked about the annuity contracts that had 100% downside protection. These contracts had a nursing home rider in addition to a nursing home rider. It had an activities of daily living benefit where people who may not be in a situation where they have to be admitted to a nursing home, but they did need care, they could now get it inside of their home. These are the benefits that these new contracts have, and I would implore anyone with an older annuity contract, get it reviewed and make sure it's up to date and is going to give you these additional benefits.
All right, that annuity x-ray, it's no obligation from the team. It's Cypress Financial. Just to have John Scallan do a once-over to make sure that everything is up to date, 504-732-1001. Again, 504-732-1001. And again, we invite you to check out the website, cypressfinancial.net. From there, you can meet John. And by the way, the voice you hear, John Scallan, that's who you will shake hands with. That's who you will have conversations with. Again, cypressfinancial.net to meet the team and to schedule that consultation, again, from the homepage. All right, some of the fears we're talking about that adults face to and through retirement. And here's one that nobody really talks about. So you've been a doctor, you've been a teacher, you're a business owner for over 30 years. Then, congratulations, you've retired. But the question becomes, who are you when you're not working? John, it's an identity crisis. Is it real?
Mark, this is such a huge point. For those of you who are ready to turn the radio off or step out of the car, give me one more moment. This is real. I have had a front row seat to people who have been able to transition to this next chapter with passion and meaning. I've also seen, many people who've actually gotten lost. Okay, we call it retirement depression, and it's at an epidemic high. Mm-hmm. People who are high performers, high achieving people who have made a difference. What happens is they tend to define themselves entirely by their work, retire, and suddenly there's this huge feeling of emptiness and lack of purpose.
Got to feel devastating for the adults suffering through this retirement depression.
Oh, I've had a brilliant engineer in the River Parishes, made six figures. Once he was retired, his numbers were fantastic, but we noticed he suddenly became, again, I'm not a psychologist, but it looked to me like he was a bit depressed. Yeah. You know what saved him? He went and started mentoring students at the local community college. He bridged this brilliant mind and his expertise with a new purpose, and the change in him was absolutely amazing. Harvard University calls it identity bridging. Again, I don't want to sound smarter than I am, but that's their word. Yeah. Identity bridging. You don't just stop being an engineer. You become a mentor who uses their expertise in engineering to make a difference. Do this exercise tonight for those of you who are looking down retirement and thinking about this transition. Write down 3 things that you're passionate about outside of work. These become your identity anchors before you retire. People with a strong sense of purpose live 7 years or more longer. Don't wait until your last day of work to figure out who you're going to be in this next chapter of your life.
504-732-1001. Be it being a consultant, maybe charity, volunteer work, maybe going to work at your grandkids' school. What is it going to be? What is your next step? How are you going to find purpose in retirement? John Scallan will be with you from that very first meeting until the very end. But it all starts with that phone call to 504-732-1001, or you can just text GPS to the same number. A team member from Cypress Financial will reach out to you. Again, 504-732-1001. So, John, we've been talking about the fears adults face to and through retirement. We're talking about the fear of running out of money, the fear of what's next with Social Security, taxes, healthcare, the identity crisis in retirement. But the bottom line is, John, what should someone do right now if they're overwhelmed by retirement anxiety?
Mark, here's the brutal truth. 59% of Americans can't cover a $1,000 emergency, but they're worried about running out of money in 30 years. That's almost a backwards way to think about your finances.
So where do we start?
Face the numbers today. Get a plan. Most people discover they're in much better shape than they think when they actually run the math, and we will help you. We will help you run the numbers. We'll help you understand the numbers so you really know exactly where you are.
All right, John, we run the numbers. We find some gaps. What next?
How about new catch-up provisions for people aged 60 to 63? To save an extra $11,250. How about delaying retirement a couple of years? This can be a game changer. But the biggest risk isn't market crashes or inflation. The biggest risk is doing nothing because you're paralyzed by fear. You're worried about it at night. Here's the final action step. This weekend, do what I call the retirement reality check. List all of your income sources. Add up your monthly expenses and see what the gap is. If it's unnerving or it's scary, at least you know the truth. Either way, we don't want you to live in a financial fantasy land. Let's get a plan. Let's look at the numbers and let's come up with a way to get you where you need to be for this next chapter of your life.
John, somebody's listening right now and you're speaking to them. And John Scallan, they want to reach out to you and schedule that initial no cost, no obligation consultation. How do we find you?
Again, Mark, 504-732-1001. You can always reach us there, cypressfinancial.net. You can call us and book an appointment. And when you come in, leave your wallet in the car. This initial consultation is truly no cost, no obligation. We will analyze your situation using just an assessment of where you are. We will show you exactly where you stand. Often people discover that their fears were bigger than their actual problems. Again, cypressfinancial.net. Pick up the phone. It would truly be an honor and a privilege to meet you, to chat with you, and to help you any way that we can.
What can we expect from that very first conversation with you and the team?
How about a warm handshake, a hot cup of coffee, a cold glass of tea, and then just a no pressure conversation? We want to find out what brought you in. We want to find out what are your goals. We want to find out, what and how you envision retirement. What type of income do you really think is going to, be required for you to live the best possible retirement? What do you want to do in terms of legacy? Who do you want to leave money behind to? What are you passionate about? Is it the university? Is it coaching your grandkids in soccer? Is it traveling the world? These are the key questions that we really want to find out, and it's the starting point for the foundation of a plan that's going to last you for 3 decades or longer.
And one more time, John Scallan, 2 locations at Cypress Financial. Where can we find you?
Causeway Boulevard, almost directly across from Lakeside Mall, Florida Street in Mandeville, just across the bridge on the North Shore. Again, 2 offices to serve you no matter where you are, where you're listening from. We are here to help.
Investment advisory services offered through Cypress Financial Group, a registered investment advisor firm. Registration is not an endorsement of the firm by securities regulators. By contacting us, you may be provided with information about insurance products, including annuities offered through Cypress Financial Group, John Scallan, Louisiana Insurance License Number 1064997. The firms are separate entities. Annuity guarantees rely on the financial strength and claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company and are not offered by Cypress Financial Group. Read your contract for restrictions, limitations, or penalties.